You have said that when one is attached, there is no love. I understand this, but there are moments of love in which there is no separation, no desire, no thought. And yet these moments often come in connection with a person to whom one is attached. Attachment seems to create a form, a boundary, within which there are moments of love. Though attachment is not love, in some mysterious way, the two are linked. This seems self-contradictory. Please go into this apparent paradox. You have said, sorry, the question is a bit long. You have said that when one is attached, there is no love. I understand this, but there are moments of love in which there is no separation, no desire, no thought, and yet these moments often come in connection with a person to whom one is attached. Attachment seems to create a form, a boundary within which there are moments of love. Though attachment is not love, in some mysterious way, the two are linked. This seems self-contradictory. Please go into this apparent paradox. What do you say? You have listened to that question, paid attention to it. What is our response to that? What is attachment? There are various forms of attachment, not only to a person, but to a belief, to this thing called faith, to a piece of furniture, to a small ground, a little property with a house on it. What is the cause of this holding on? Holding on to one's ideas, ideals, conclusions, opinions, prejudices. Holding on to some hope, future, or to some remembrance of things past, clinging to them desperately. What is the cause of this? What is the, without analysis, just to find the reason of this? You understand what that is? Our brains are trained to analyze, right? There's a problem, let's analyze it and find the solution. Analysis takes time. But who is the analyzer? Who is going to analyze? The analyzer is the analyzed. I won't go into that. Perhaps you'll see that as we go along. So, why is the human mind attached to something or other, to one's body, you follow? Or to some experience that you have had. And that kind of holds you, encourages you, guides you. And you depend more and more on something that has happened, gone, dead. Or to some future concept which gives us so much hope. Why this clinging, this desperate hanging on to something? Please ask yourself. You're not listening to the speaker. That's not important. What is important is through the speaker to watch yourself, to see yourself. If you are attached to something. And is it out of loneliness? Which is so deep in most human beings, almost in all human beings, this sense of total isolation? Or is it that clinging, holding on, being attached to something gives one great sense of security? When you say I'm an American, British, right, Indian, Japanese, it gives you have your roots in that. Roots in an idea. In a concept. America is a concept. And in that attachment there is a tremendous feeling of belonging. And that gives one not only a financial security, but psychological security. If I'm in Italy, where Catholicism is very strong, and if I say it's all rubbish, I'd find myself in a difficult position. I wouldn't get a job. I'd be excommunicated, all the stuff, nonsense that goes on. So is it out of loneliness we are attached? Out of demanding, searching, longing for security? Being uncertain, confused, if I cling to something that gives one a feeling of clarity. Don't you know? And if I love my wife or friend or whatever, it's a girl or a boy, I'm attached immediately. The whole process of remembrances, incidents, words that have been said between us, all that is stored up. And one is attached to that. Not only physically, but psychologically, inwardly, to the memory of sex, pleasure, entertainment, being companionship, somebody on whom you can lean, talk to. All that goes on and on and on. Is that why we are attached? And in this attachment to a person, to a belief, to a concept, to a country, we bring conflict, inevitably. if I'm saying persistently that I'm an American, that I'm a Hindu, that I'm a Muslim, worship this symbol and I worship another symbol, we are perpetually in conflict. And if I'm attached to a person, I want to possess it, hold it. Don't you know all this, what I have to tell you? And out of that comes jealousy, anxiety, fear. And in that there is tenderness, love. I don't know if there is love. We'll call it for the moment love. A sense of being together. And in that too there is conflict, because one goes off to the office, all that goes on, one hasn't go into all that obvious. So, this questioner asks, sometimes in this attachment there is love. In this attachment, not only at a person, and the question is probably concerned with a person, there is a sense of form, boundary, in which there are moments of love. So, we must be very clear what that word means, the content of that word, the feeling behind that word. Which is a very strong feeling. You're attached to a house. You've built a garden, you have worked at it, kept it clean, and it's worked, and it gives you a sense of ownership, feeling that you are there. And if you live with a woman or a man, as a wife and a husband, this whole process of being together, the quarrels, the irritations, the whole thing, the conflicts. In spite of that, if that is not broken, you're holding on to each other. So one has to understand very clearly what it means to be attached, the feeling of being attached. And when one is attached, see what happens. Attachment breeds corruption. You may not accept it. Don't be shocked by that word. Just look at it. If I'm attached to my job, to my ideal, to my concept of what truth is, God is, or whatever it is, attached to it, part of my belief, my blood, my conditioning, if I'm so attached, corruption is inevitable. Because I'm against everybody else who doesn't belong to that particular group, sect. I may have tolerance. That's one of our clever tricks. But there is no actual relationship between one who is Catholic, who is a Muslim and a Hindu or a Buddhist. They may talk about God is love and all, but there is actually no partaking in a relationship at all. In attachment there is fear of loss. So I don't quite see where the paradox lies. I may be wrong. The speaker may be wrong, subject to correction. Where there is love, there is no attachment. Love is not jealousy, anxiety, fear. Love is it is that quality, the beauty of it, the fullness of it, the enormous vitality, passion behind it. Not lust, passion. And one can be together, man, woman, in freedom. Not the freedom of do what you like, it's not at all free. This is what's happening in this country. I've been married, I get fed up with my wife and I change her, go to divorce. You know what's happening. Change. So, if one has love, which is really enormous sacred gift, not to be cultivated, but to see what is not. You understand? Through negation, come to the positive. That which is not. To deny, not merely verbally, but inwardly, actually, to deny that which is not, that which is false, and to see actually the false, the illusion, the acceptance. So through negation, naturally, one comes to the positive. That is, to begin with uncertainty, and then you come to absolute certainty. But we generally want to be certain, assured, secure. Haven't you noticed some of the great writers, literary people who are so-called famous in the world, begin with denying everything and then ultimately end up as a Catholic, Buddhist or some kind of sectarian person. Because they're frightened of death. You know the thing I talked about. So the question is, not that there are not moments of love, whatever that word may mean for the moment, but to see all the implications of attachment, the totality of it, not to persons only, but to be attached to anything, to your face, to your body, to your beliefs, to your experience, you follow? That's freedom. And when there is that freedom, there is love. When there is love, you can do what you will.